following program is available in high definition on Channel 700. This program is designed and produced by the community with the support of TV Cogeco.
Hello and welcome to Oakville Matters. In this show, we take a look at the things that matter to Oakville. Today, we're looking at the new hospital that we're going to move into the end of this year. And with us to do that, we have Denise Hardenne, who's the president and CEO of the hospital. We have Bill Bailey, who is the vice president, who I like to say built the place. And we have Sylvia Rodgers, who is going to run the place. So Sylvia, why don't we start with you? What's the biggest thing that the Oakville residents are going to notice about going to the hospital?
Well, probably the first thing they will notice is the size of the building, but the second thing they'll notice is how beautiful it is. And really, if we go back to the early days in the project, we consulted with the community about what was important to them in the design of the new hospital. So we've really considered the patient experience in creating this new space, to make it welcoming, to bring in the outdoors and access to nature in the design, and to really enhance the patient experience no matter what service or department that they're visiting.
We have a picture of I think we have a picture of a typical patient room. If we can put that up, maybe you can describe what we're looking at. I mean, because the first thing that hits me is I don't think I've ever been in a patient room that big.
Yeah, so we started with an actual mock-up design of an inpatient room to help create and shape the space. And some of the principles that we used in creating this room were access to the outdoors. So one of the features you'll notice is a really large window with a cutout sill, so that when the patient is in the bed, they can actually see the ground down below. And our inpatient tower actually, doesn't matter what room you're in there, the views are spectacular. But the room is designed to have a zone for both the caregiver, the patient, and the family. And one of the things that the community and even our own staff and physicians told us was make space for families to be present with their loved one while they're in hospital. So in that room, you can actually see a chair, bed chair that actually pulls out to a bed should a family member choose to stay overnight with their loved one. And the other feature that we're pretty excited about is that every room has a bathroom. And in that bathroom is a shower. And also in that bathroom is space for wheelchairs and accessibility and staff to accompany patients. And there's just so many, I could go on and on about the features of the room because there's so many that are really, really exciting for us.
Well, I think as soon as people see it, they'll be going on and on about it. Denise, as the CEO and the leader of the hospital, one of the things that stands out to me is the way it's kind of a leadership building. We've got a picture here of one of the leadership features. There's solar panels on top of one of the buildings. Can you explain that to the viewers?
Sure. So first and foremost, as an organization, we're absolutely delighted to be delivering on this state-of-the-art healthcare facility in our region, in the town of Oakville. And we couldn't have done it without the support of the provincial government and the support of our municipal government in contributing to our substantive local share plan. And it is truly a state-of-the-art facility with lots of leading design features. The inpatient rooms are just one. There's also a significant sustainability design included in the project as well. And one of the key features is the solar array that will be installed on top of the parkade. And that's been done in partnership with Hatch, who has donated the solar array as a significant gift to the hospital.
So that's just a piece of a bigger thing, the gigantic amount of money that the town has raised from its citizens and its companies. Can you speak a little bit to the size of that undertaking? How much did we have to raise as a town from donations?
So our total local share plan, and the way it works with the government, is to build this kind of project. predominantly the ministry pays for about 90% of the project, and the organization has to pay for the other 10% of the project, plus all the furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
So the bricks and mortar is 90-10.
That's
and
right.
The equipment, we get to pay for all of it?
All of the equipment.
And the furniture?
And the furniture.
What a deal.
Yeah, and that whole deal over the 30-year term of the project equates to about $550 million. So a substantive amount that we have to collectively contribute as the local share plan. Fortunately for us, we have great partners, and the town has worked really closely with us and is contributing $130 million to that local share plan. Which is greatly appreciated and will absolutely be seen as a benefit once the community has the opportunity to experience the new Oakville Hospital.
But as I understand it, the 550, 130 of it's coming from the donation from the town, but then you've got the foundation is responsible for how much? $60 million?
$60 million. The Oakville Hospital Foundation is raising for the project through their capital campaign, and they're making very good progress on that because of the great response that we've had from the community.
So I understand that a huge part of that has already been reached in pledges. I don't think you're at 100%. But you're really close to it. And the thing that struck me about it when we started this was nobody had ever raised anything like this kind of money for anything in Oakville's history.
Yes.
And I'm still kind of astonished that they managed to do so much of what they've done, and I actually believe they're going to get all the way.
Yeah, they've just had tremendous response from the community and the donors, and are absolutely tracking to deliver on that $60 million.
So do you find yourself in front of large donors, whether individuals or companies, giving the story and helping to motivate them to do it?
Absolutely. It's not just myself, it's really our whole senior leadership team, Bill in his role as VP of Redevelopment, and Sylvia as Senior Vice President. She's often talking to donors about the family experience, so the whole team has been engaged in partnering with the foundation.
So it's a bigger act than just one person.
Absolutely.
When you're asking for that much money, you need a whole team?
Yeah. Well, it's that old African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a community, a town, a provincial government to complete a facility like this.
So the rest of that 550, that's coming from the, I guess, business enterprises of the hospital?
Yeah, through different revenue streams that we have, and we know it's not a popular topic, but parking revenues is one of those key streams. Some of the accommodation revenue that we get from patients, and we also have some other revenue streams that feed into that.
You've got food courts and all kinds of things.
Retail, the medical office building, and the relationship we have with the tenants there and the developer.
Yeah, I know there's a popular song from the 20s and 30s. Everybody wants to go to heaven, nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to go first class, nobody wants to pay. So I imagine when it comes to these revenue streams like parking, it might be a person or two going, I shouldn't have to pay for anything. So that's going to be a fun thing to manage over the years ahead.
Well, you should know, though, when we move to the new hospital, we're not increasing rates. The same rate that we're paying now at the hospital will move to the new hospital.
Oh, so you'll get the same complaint then?
You'll get the same.
Complaint won't escalate either.
Parking's always a contentious issue.
Although with the new site and facility, we have a substantive increase in the number of parking spots available, and there'll be surface parking and parking in the parkade, and drop-off points for family members to drop off patients. It's a lot more convenient than what they're experiencing now at the Oakville site.
And in partnership with Oakville Transit, there's actually 3 transit stops coming onto the site. So those that want to avoid parking, if they're visiting the hospital, they could choose to take public transit. In the parking facilities, there's 64 charging stations for hybrid cars or electric cars to charge. So we're taking that sustainability as far as we can with respect to parking.
Well, we're introducing this year a so-called intelligent transportation system feature for our bus system, where on your smartphone or your home computer or any device that's connected to the internet, you can actually see where your bus is on a map and time your walk to your bus stop so that you don't have to wait. And I hope that'll eliminate some of the excuses for I don't want to take the bus.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because all three of the transit stops are close to the main gathering space in the hospital, and then we've worked with Oakville Transit to establish a digital panel that'll have all the transit information, just as you described, displayed right there. So those that don't have, a handheld device can get that information from the panel and choose to walk out when the bus is arriving. That gives them a more comfortable place to wait and gather and avoid inclement weather when it's outside.
Well, it's good to know we won't have to hand out smartphones. So,
Yeah.
well, we need to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll start talking about the on-time, on-budget performance of this project, which is, quite frankly, one of the most amazing success stories in the history of the province. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our show. Today on Oakville Matters, we're talking about the new Oakville Trafalgar Memorial Hospital, which some days looks to me like one of the seventh wonders of the world. When you drive over the hill on Dundas and you see it pop up over the horizon, you go, that's an amazing structure. With us are Denise Hardenne and Bill Bailey and Sylvia Rodgers from the hospital, and we have a picture of what it looks like recently. Today, yesterday?
About December. The aerial photo was taken in
December.
That's it.
Bill, tell us what we're looking at here.
That's a view of the hospital site looking from the southwest corner of the campus, looking north and east. You can see the new extension of third line to the upper right corner, extending up on the backside of the hospital, and the construction of a new Oakville West transit corridor across the top, so there'll be four-side access. That gray circle in the bottom left-hand corner is our new helipad, and right now our helipad is located at the Ford plant, so that's a huge increase in our safety for patients to have that proximity to the ambulance garage. The big block at the bottom left side is the diagnostic and treatment block. In the bottom left-hand corner is the emergency department, and then just to the north of that block would be the diagnostic and imaging department. Above it, the surgical suites and the ambulatory procedure rooms, and then above that, maternal child program and patient rooms, and then above that would be the mental health program. And
so I can sort of figure out which one must be the parking structure. That's off to the top left, right?
Yes, that's correct.
There's a red-faced, or it looks like a red-faced building. What's that?
That's the ambulatory block, or Block A in the building.
And for people who aren't into big Latinate words, what is ambulatory?
So those would be the clinics, the outpatient services, outpatient rehab, nephrology patients, medical clinics that people would come, heart function clinics, those sorts of things.
So the things you can walk into and walk out of.
Yes, and the reason why the garage is where it is the notion that the hospital that we have now, that parking garage close to the building, was seen as a very positive thing. And for people that are attending the hospital on frequent visits, like dialysis patients, they're coming 2-3 times a week for several hours at a time. There's a direct link right across from that parking garage right into the building, right where the nephrology patients would register.
So in that day part, that red-faced part, that's where the dialysis would be?
Yes, on the second floor with a beautiful view out to the east. Right now those patients are receiving their treatment in the lower level of our building with very little access to daylight and in cramped quarters, quite frankly.
What's also included in that block is the new cancer clinic, which is a new program and service we're going to be providing in the new Oakville Hospital, plus also our outpatient rehab facilities, our inpatient rehabilitation unit, and our complex continuing care unit for longer stay complex patients.
So that must be a pretty large building.
1.6 million square feet.
Well, I mean, we're just talking about the red part, right? For these things.
Yes.
So all by itself, it's a large one.
Yeah, it's a large building. You mentioned the red color. Each of those blocks of buildings have a distinct look and feel to them, and the notion was to provide different addresses for each of those arrival points. With a large building, 1.6 million square feet, you want to be able to provide patients and their families with quick access to their services. And if they choose to avoid the main gathering space or the lobby in the building, they can do so by circulating around to the northern part of the campus with a direct entrance right into that A block or the ambulatory building.
So I sort of figured out the ambulance emergency part is there on Dundas.
Correct.
Sylvia, in the large, tall part of the hospital, who's in there? That looks like quite a few floors.
That's our inpatient tower, and that is where patients who are being admitted to hospital and requiring a few days stay with us will be housed. So we'll have a surgical unit and medical units, and we've configured our units so that we will have like patients with like patients. So we have a cardiology unit, we have general medicine, and we have respiratory. And now we're so cramped for space, we're not able to do that type of organization. And this actually will enhance care because it really allows your staff to develop that specialized skill capacity to care for their patients.
Well, we've also had, where we are now in our town with the old OTMH, don't we have kind of a crush for beds? I mean, how many beds do we have in the existing hospital?
Well, it depends on the day of the week, but we are operating around 320 beds total. We're budgeted for 320, and that's for all services. We will be growing. We are growing now, actually. We've already started growing before we move, and we will be outfitted for 457 beds and opening for around 400, I think, is about the right number. So we are growing and then growing some more.
And then on top of that, where there's more space for future growth, if I remember correctly, shelled-in space it was called. Where's that space? Is that in the tall building?
It's actually about 96,000 square feet of additional shelled-in space that we planned for in the building for future growth. And with that capacity, we have the ability to increase our bed complement to 602 beds over time.
More importantly, the building is actually planned and built to accommodate that growth over time. So in other areas of the building where we know it's very predictable that there's going to be growth in areas like around the emergency department or in the high-cost infrastructure in the building, we've used a strategy where we've used softer kinds of program space like administrative support space or other kinds of support functions and put those right adjacent to areas in the building where we know there's going to be pressure to grow those services in the future so that they can be decanted out and renovated in place to expand those core services.
I love the expression, decanted out.
Yeah.
Moved, right?
Moved.
So that future space, is it in the tower or is it somewhere else?
Actually throughout in the A block, again, the red building that you pointed out earlier, that also has shelled-in space for the complex continued care and rehab programs as well. There will be natural growth in those departments and soft space strategies throughout the entire building where we expect and anticipate growth. Because not all growth is linear. Other programs grow quite exponentially, some grow slower, and some are actually experiencing no growth at all.
But the whole 8th floor of the inpatient tower is shelled in for future growth.
So that'll be where the best view is?
Well, it's incredible views throughout the whole facility. It's just phenomenal, the views of the lake, of the escarpment and the whole surrounding area. And as Sylvia pointed out earlier, almost each and every bedroom has an amazing view with that drop sill configuration.
Now, is there a future for more of these? I mean, it feels like this is a really large hospital. I've heard it said that it's the largest hospital or the second largest hospital or one of the largest hospitals. Is there going to be a parade of more large hospitals like this, or is this the end of the line for this design?
Well, there's one opening just before us. Humber River Regional Hospital is opening in Downsview just a few months before ours. And colleagues of ours at Mackenzie Health out in Vaughan, they've been in close contact with us. They're in the planning for their project right now as well. It will be of similar size and scope, I would assume, as our hospital, given the growth pressures out in Vaughan as well. But the strategy, the methodologies, the planning processes we put in place, and the project delivery process we put in place are being recognize and model on their planning for their projects as well.
All right. Well, when we have the Local Health Integration Network CEO on the show, I'll try to get him to tell us where the future lies after big hospitals, if there is a new plan. Denise, what do you see as the vision for Halton Healthcare and this particular unit of it? Because you've got 3 hospitals, Georgetown, Milton, and this one, all pretty much in some form of construction, right?
Yes.
That must be fun.
We're pretty busy.
Which crisis to go to next? No, there can't be any crises. But what's the future for Halton Healthcare? What are we going to be known for?
So it's great that you asked that question. As an organization, right now we're working through our next strategic plan, which is called Pathway 2020, and it's really setting the direction for the organization over the next 5 years. And although the plan isn't finalized, the essence of the plan is really about how do we leverage all of the amazing infrastructure that we're bringing to the communities, the new technology and the equipment, and really use it to optimize and enhance our continued delivery of exemplary patient care and family experiences in all of our facilities. And we're looking at how we can accomplish that through empowerment, innovation, and collaboration with other health system partners.
So will we be, I don't know, the world famous Center for Dialysis, or will we be? What will we be known for?
Well, we believe we're really going to be known for providing amazing community hospital care, and all of the services that we provide will be distinct clinical services. And we also see ourselves as potentially offering an opportunity for a gateway for new technologies and leading practices and best practices, and coming from research and academic centers back out to community hospitals.
So you won't experiment on me, but as soon as something's proven somewhere else, you'll have it.
Absolutely.
Well, Sylvia, what's the trend in hospital care? Is it for staying in the hospital longer or staying less time in the hospital? My father, who's 92, says that he hates the thought of going to the hospital because they have sick people there. And of course, he's ignoring the fact that if he needs to go, he's one too. But his theory is that, he's 92, it seems to be working for him. He avoids hospitals if he can. Where are we going in medical science? I know that the single rooms is part of trying to control those germs that are highly resistant to antibiotics and other forms of drugs. What are we doing around patient stays?
Great question. Absolutely don't want people staying any longer than they need to be in hospital, and they don't want to be with us any longer than they need to be. So,
except those rooms look like one.
Well, yeah, that might be the challenge. They may be a bit too welcoming, and I think the trend is really about starting to plan for discharge at the point of admission. So really being really understanding what is an expected length of stay for a particular condition, and then planning for what will be the next transition point. So when you're admitted with your health problem, right from that point in time saying, okay, we're expecting you to stay probably 3 days, and we need to get the plan in place for where you will go next, or what kind of support you might need in the community when you leave our facility. So really being, not letting people wait for things to happen and not knowing what's going to come next, but really understanding what that journey should look like and what the next transition point is.
At the Health Board, we recently had a briefing that said that we had the healthiest residents in the country and the longest lived residents. We had the greatest longevity. And I've been joking ever since that with our new hospital, both of these things have to increase, or will have proven to be, to what end, I don't know. But it's amazing to think that you live in the safest community, the healthiest, and the most long-lived. Bill, I've waited a bit till we have like a minute left to ask you, how are we doing? On time, on budget, cost overruns? What's the story?
We're absolutely.
When we started this,
yes.
the hysteria 6 years ago about it wouldn't be on time and it wouldn't be on budget, I mean, I've got tapes of those meetings. What's the story?
Well, I can assure the community that we're absolutely on time and on budget. Absolutely delighted with the performance of our partners on this project. Very strong partnership with HIP, Health Infrastructure Partners, Ellis Don, our constructor, and we've had a very good working relationship. The rate of change on this project is extremely low, and Infrastructure Ontario, our agency that's helping us with the delivery of the project, is ecstatic about the performance of the building. Right now, in the building, we're receiving and installing about 39,000 pieces of equipment in the building, and the state of readiness is very high in the building. So the possibility of change from this point forward on is very low. So on time, on budget. I've heard in the media certain transit projects and stadia, other things that have caused people concern, and quite frankly, community members have approached me about that, and I can assure them that that's not the case with the new Oakville Hospital project.
You say that with evident relief, and I guess that's partly because it was your face that was on this performance pledge, right?
Well,
so there's a party?
It's my hospital too, you know, and
so when's the party?
There'll be several.
Well, we reached substantial completion, which means we actually get the keys and take possession at the end of July, and we will between July and December, when we open, we will be commissioning and testing and bringing the community in to tour the facility before we open, and there'll be lots of moments of celebration and recognition during that time.
That's great. I'm a big fan of parties, and I heard community tours. I think that's going to be very popular. I mean, it's wonderful to have had you here talking with us about it. I think this is going to be the equivalent of a local tourist attraction, and I look forward to seeing the finished result. I have a purely academic interest in seeing the inside of any hospital. I never want to see one for out of health need, and I'm sure you all share the same feeling, everyone, everywhere. But if we do need it, it's reassuring to know that we're going to have the very best in the world. Thanks for being with us today on Oakville Matters, and we'll see you next time.